Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Are You the Goober? My name is Belle. My husband is sick, so he can't be here. So I recruited my best friend in the world, Robin.
Hi!
She will be joining us for story time. And today we are doing an episode around a relationship. The title of it being, Am I the goober for not planning anything for Father's Day after my husband ruined my first Mother's Day? By the Redditor Counter Necessary 2597. I'm at 98.7% sure that I am not the goober here, but I'm wrong and am willing to admit it and learn from mistakes. Our little boy will be 1 late this summer, so this was my first Mother's Day and Father's Day for my husband. My husband asked what I wanted for Mother's Day. I didn't want or need anything big or expensive. What I asked for is my husband to get up with the little guy and get him fed while I pumped and chilled. Breakfast in bed, just toast, scrambled eggs, and coffee. For us to take the little guy to the zoo for the first time. This was the main thing I was looking forward to. Go to my favorite taco place for dinner. Between morning and afternoon naps, we have about 4 hours of awake time. The zoo is about 30 minutes away, so I'd figured if we left as soon as he got up from his nap and ate, we'd have a couple hours at the zoo, and worst case, he could sleep in the car on the way home. We took my mom and my mother-in-law out to brunch the prior weekend to celebrate them, his mom on Saturday and my mom on Sunday. I also got them each a thoughtful little present and flowers to celebrate their first Mother's Day as grandparents. I arranged everything and told my mom and mother-in-law that we'd be celebrating on actual day with just our little family, and sent them a group chat which included my husband, my dad, and my father-in-law, just to make sure everyone is on the same page. My mother-in-law is very pushy and overbearing, so I didn't want there to be any surprises or confusion. The Saturday before Mother's Day, father-in-law sent my husband a text with a picture of all the mulch he had just had delivered. It sounds something like, going to be a busy weekend, or something like that. Apparently he had 300 bags of mulch. That night, my mother-in-law called my husband and asked him to come over first thing in the morning to help his dad move the bags of mulch to where they were going to be used. She said since we weren't going to the zoo until the little guy's nap, that husband can go over and help with a couple hours and then come pick us up to go to the zoo. I was obviously not happy, but she guilted him and said father-in-law was going to end up hurting himself if he moved all that by himself, and that it's not a big deal and should only take an hour or two. I told him his mom was doing this to try and get us to skip our plans to spend the day with them, but he kept saying it's not a big deal, saying his mom promised it would only take a couple of hours, etc. I think most people know what happened. My husband went over first thing in the morning, which means no breakfast in bed. I had to get up to feed the little guy on my own. I was kind of pissed, but whatever. Spent time with the little guy. Then when he went down for his morning nap, I texted my husband and let him know he should start wrapping things up. Then when the little guy woke up 2 hours later, I called my husband to tell him I'd be ready to go as soon as I finished feeding the little guy. He told me it would take longer than expected, but he'd hurry. Like an hour and a half later, husband called and said they weren't done, but he was going to be ready to come home. It's about a 15 to 20 minute drive from mother-in-law, father-in-law's house. At that point, we missed the window to make it to the zoo, so I told him to just stay there and finish and not worry about Mother's Day, since he hadn't done a single thing I asked for. I don't think there was any doubt in his mind about how pissed I was. A little later, his mom called and said we decided not to go to the zoo, that me and the little guy should go hang out with her, while the boys finished with the mulch. I admit that I was pretty pissy and told her I had no interest in spending time with people who decided to ruin my first Mother's Day. Ended up staying at home, ordering pizza, and binging Netflix. When my husband got home, he was all apologetic and asked how he could make it up. I was still pissed and told him he could make it up by not ruining my first Mother's Day. I also told him he should plan on spending Father's Day with his mom and dad because me and the little guy were going to go to celebrate Father's Day with my mom and dad. Since Mother's Day, mother-in-law has been texting and calling, but I've been keeping conversations short, just going with the very bland, generic responses. My husband has been apologizing and asking what he can do, but honestly, I don't want to bother. I know it's just a day and we can celebrate any time like we did with my mom and mother-in-law, but this was my first ever Mother's Day. And it's not like I asked for anything expensive or difficult. The only thing is he's incapable of setting boundaries with his mom, and she's incapable of considering anyone else's feelings but her own. This past Saturday, he asked if I was still going to my parents, and then he said he'd like to go with us. I told him he could do whatever he wanted, but since I hadn't done anything for his dad, he might want to go see him or something. We did both end up going to my parents and spending a day with them. It was actually a nice day. My dad insisted on grilling because of course he did, and the weather ended up being nice. He spent a lot of time hanging out with them on their deck playing with the little guy. I'm not sure if anything my husband did for his dad. I know he's getting a lot of texts during the day, and I assume they were from his mom. She did send me a snippy text saying it was hurtful to spend a day with my family at the expense of her husband's. And I told her she got to spend Mother's Day with her baby boy, so it's only fair that I spend Father's Day with my family. I know my husband was hurt that we did acknowledge him for Father's Day, but I told him while we were driving to my parents' house that I'm just matching his energy. I admit that I haven't done anything to de-escalate the drama, but I'm still just so hurt. He continues to prioritize his mother's feelings over our little family. This isn't the first time his mom has done poopy like this, and I'm just so tired of it. She also oversteps and insists on doing what she wants. I'm better at keeping her at arm's length and holding my own boundaries, but my husband is absolutely incapable of it. What do you think, Robin?
Oh, that's horrible. A mother-in-law who consistently wants your time, she's just butting in at the most inopportune times. Yes, you gave birth to her husband, but that's her first Mother's Day. That's a special day for a lot of mothers.
It is. It is their first one too. And she really did not ask for much, I'll be honest.
No, she really didn't. Just a chill day, really. That it seemed pretty ordinary, if anything. Like something you do on a Saturday. But it would have meant so much.
It would have meant a lot. And do I think that she was being the goober in a situation? No. Do I think she was being spiteful and a little bit petty? Yeah, I'll admit. But it does feel like this was a pattern for her husband and she was just at her limit.
Yeah, everybody has their limits. Like, if you're going to do stuff like that purposefully, it kind of seemed kind of purposeful. So I can see her breaking point being that moment.
We do have an update for this story. Would you like to read it?
Yeah, I'll be reading the update. Let's see. I posted here last week. You can find it in my profile. If you want the backstory, I wanted to thank everyone. I've had a lot of people asking me for an update, so here we go. This weekend, the husband and I sat down and we talked about everything. I expressed to him how incredibly upset and disappointed I was at how both Mother's Day and Father's Day went down. I really wanted to recognize and celebrate my husband for Father's Day every bit as much as I hoped he would recognize and celebrate me for Mother's Day. He had said how he knew he shouldn't have gone to his parents on Mother's Day, but he didn't know what to do since his mom was pressuring him and saying if his dad got hurt, it would be his fault, her husband's fault. He admitted that he knew he messed up and has been terrified that I was going to ask for a divorce. Since he cut to the chase, I told him that if this is how our life is going to be, I don't want to stay married to him.
Yikes.
I explained to him that I realized that while yes, I was upset about what happened on Mother's Day, that this isn't what is making me feel this way. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. This kind of behavior from his mom has been happening since we got engaged and just escalated. This has been happening for years. As somebody Someone here suggested I had listed all the times and events that I could remember that she said she had overstepped or just completely ruined something. For our freaking honeymoon, she called him twice a day,
Ew.
every morning to find out our plans for the day, and then every evening to hear how the day went. Oh my god!
Sounds like a mama's
Plus
boy.
for real. Plus the constant texting, asking for pictures, telling me how much she missed him. I don't know how I thought this was acceptable. Oh boy, she tried to make our wedding about herself and tried to make my pregnancy about herself, tried to take over when we brought our son home, just constantly inserting herself and overstepping. Oh boy.
Sounds like a fun time, if you ask me.
That would be pissed right then and there. She'd be gone. I told him that I didn't really want to get a divorce right now, but it's going to happen anyway. If it's going to happen anyway, I'd rather get a divorce now while we can still do it amicably, because if nothing changes, I'm going to end up so angry and resentful. It would make divorce very contentious, and I don't want that for our son. At this point, we are both crying, upset, and emotional, so I told him that I'll give him some time to decide what he's going to do, but if I don't see some clear effort being made to start prioritizing me and our son, that I'd move forward with the divorce and change has to continue. Every time we fought about this in the past, he's promised he'll change, and sometimes he has, but then his mom pulls him right back into her orbit. If we are to stay married, these are some of the things I'm insisting in no particular order. We each own the relationship with our own parents. That means I'm not planning anything for his parents. No cards, no presents, no brunches or parties, no pictures, nothing. If his parents reach out to me, I'm going to redirect them to him. I'm not entertaining or visiting with his parents when he's not around. I'm not taking our son over there by myself, and I'm not and if they drop by, I'm not inviting them in unless my husband is there.
Ew.
I'm not changing my plans at least at the last minute just because they decide to drop by without coordinating with us in advance, or because they want us to do something with them. Neither of us makes plans without our parents or neither of us makes plans with our parents or accepts invitations until we discuss with our partner. And if we don't both agree, we don't do it. And we don't throw each other under the bus. We just say something like, we checked our schedule and we're not available. That's a good one. I like that one. Holidays like Christmas, Halloween, Easter, etc. are at our house. We can discuss inviting our parents, but we're not going somewhere else unless a house to celebrate, unless something involving our son when we can do it at home. This includes his first birthday, which mother-in-law is trying to take over and plan. Oh god. Other holidays, we are alternating between our parents, and we will focus on being present. That means no more texting, talking to his mom nonstop when we are with my parents. No more oversharing with my mother-in-law. She doesn't need to know about our finances, our health, our medical issues, or vacation plans, or anything else unless we both agree it's something we want to share. His visits to his parents can't be at the expense of spending quality time with me and our son. I do not mind him visiting his parents, but he's over there a couple times a week. We are his immediate family now. We should get priority. True. We're not doing things just because she said we should, and we're not changing our plans just because she doesn't like them. She really doesn't understand that wrong and different are not the same thing. In her mind, we're not doing what she wants, how she wants, and then we are in the wrong. He needs to go to therapy with somebody specializing in enmeshment, and we need to start going to couples therapy. I didn't even realize I have so much pent-up resentment that I can't look at my husband the same anymore. I'm just angry at him all the time, and I hate being this way. When it comes to our son, our world, husband and me, is law. If she disregards or minimizes our decisions for our son, then she loses access until she learns to behave.
Ew.
When me or my husband say no to either set of parents, the other person will support and back them up. That means my husband has to stop trying to get me to agree with his mom all the time. Wow. I can tell he's freaked out and really stressed about the idea of putting hard boundaries in place or distancing from his parents, and I do feel for him. He said he feels like he's caught between a rock and a hard place. Which isn't really that's not wrong. That's really hard to do. And that me and his mom are both putting a ton of pressure on him and both have conflicting expectations, and that's fine. He just needs to understand that I am not tolerating this anymore. I know this will cause an absolute dookie storm with his parents, but I feel like if we don't do it now, it'll just be harder down the road. What does everyone think? Am I being unreasonable? Am I the gooby? Are the other boundaries we oh my god. Are there other boundaries we should put in place? I still don't think she's the goober.
I have to agree. I don't think she's being the goober, but I have to admit, there's one line that she said that's really stuck out to me, where she said that she has a lot of built-up resentment towards her husband, and that's very evident in some of the rules that she's put. Because I don't think a lot of these rules are bad, but some of them are very controlling. I have to admit that I don't agree with.
Strict and controlling. Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
The one I do agree with is not discussing finances and medical stuff with the mother-in-law. When it comes to her, when it's the husband's medical stuff, or he needs is like just advice with finances, he should be allowed to talk to his mom about these things.
Yeah, I agree to that. Yeah, he shouldn't overshare these things with his mother, but he should be like asking, well, what's in our family history? Like, hey, I need help financially. What should I do? What are some steps I could take? Because, his parents have probably been through it a few times, and who knows what his mother actually does for a living. She could have been, I don't know, some kind of financial advisor or something. So some of the rules were pretty harsh, pretty strict.
Yeah.
Some of them I get.
Some of them
maybe she's been too overprotective, but it is her first son. It's her first kid. And her mother-in-law has overstepped probably so many times. And she has even said how many times she's already tried to take over and butt into her life with her husband.
I do agree.
That I can't really blame her.
Yeah. Like, these rules are coming from a place of sheer fed upness, for lack of a better word. It's just the other one that I do think going into the future is just going to cause more harm in your relationship than good is the rule where she says, neither of us makes plans with our parents or accepts invitations until we discuss with our partner. I don't know if it's just poorly written or that's literally what she means, but say if you take my husband, for example, if he wants to make plans with his mom alone, take her to brunch, take her to dinner, take her shopping, and it doesn't involve me, it doesn't involve our children, he should be in his full right to do so if it doesn't affect his little family outside of his mother's relationship with him.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're considering both of them, that rule means you don't make plans or accept invitations that involve both spouses. Okay, I understand. But if it's just a single partner, then at that point it's more controlling than anything else.
Yeah, hopefully she means the latter, because she did say that he can go and visit whenever, but just not the expense at the time between her and her son. So, like, prioritizing her and then their son together. But he can probably go out and have fun with his mother. Unless she actually means, like, no, you have to talk to me. That's a little too controlling.
Yeah, that's But otherwise, most of these rules are pretty fine. And I really do love the one where she wants him to go to therapy and for them to attend couples therapy. Because it's a lot of resentment here. Especially,
It is.
like, she opens up right before all these rules of how she openly admitted to her husband that she's on the edge of divorce. And in my opinion, if you're going to ask these rules for your relationship, opening up and saying that if you don't do these rules, I'm going to divorce you, it's not the right way. Because at that point, is he doing these rules because he actually sees his mistakes and wants to change? Or is he following these rules because he's scared of losing you?
Yeah. It's a really hard situation. And who knows, like, how hard it's going to be for him, especially with his family. Like, what is he supposed to do? He's gonna get so much backlash from everybody in this situation. So it'll be hard for their family for a while. But I still think that maybe with time, things will get better. Because it's not the end of the world. It's just some issues here and there. Yes, his mother-in-law is always going to be there. But they could definitely work this out. It's not it won't. I don't think it'll break them.
As long as the boundaries either loosen up a little bit and then they are respected, I don't think this relationship is on the edge of divorce. But otherwise, I just don't believe that threatening divorce is the right way to go.
No, it is never the best course of action. It's just a scare tactic.
Yeah. So the question is she the goober? No. In the way I see it, this is a woman who is completely fed up with the way she's being treated, and rightfully so. She deserves to have the day to celebrate her, and she deserves to be put as a priority. When you marry someone, you that's what you're practically doing, putting them front and center of your life. So the way she's coming at it, though, is where I'd say just loosen up a little bit, give him some space, and just make the rules more understandable than controlling, and otherwise you're not the goober.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see her as a goober, just a protective mama who wants to keep her peace and not have to deal with her mother-in-law telling her she has to do things a certain way, and she has to give up every holiday to her mother-in-law. She wants that peace.
Well, the next and last story for this episode is, am I the goober for adopting a dog after I thought my boyfriend broke up with me? This one is by Lazy Mathematician 823. My boyfriend was going through a tough time, and he said he needed a break. He said he was going to press the pause on a relationship and go visit his family in Washington. I asked how you pause a relationship because I don't understand how that would work. He said he needed some time to work on himself and asked me to respect that. After he left, I reached out to him a few times via texting, asking him to let me know if he arrived safe and just to say hi to his mom for me. I received no response. I tried to call, left a message asking if he had broken up with me. I came to the conclusion that he had ghosted me, and my friends agreed. I was bummed, and my best friend recommended I find something like a new hobby or a new show to watch that wouldn't make me think of my boyfriend. So I decided to get a dog. Valid response.
Oh, I would. Hell yeah.
My boyfriend is horribly allergic to pet dander, so I never even considered getting a pet. However, since he broke up with me, I decided to get one. He's a senior dog from the shelter that needed rescuing. He's low energy, likes to lay with his head in my lap while I read or work or watch TV.
Oh.
After 6 weeks away, my boyfriend texted me that he was back and coming over tomorrow, which was yesterday, so we could talk. I was shocked and texted him back asking what he wanted to talk about. He said he was back and ready to unpause our relationship and said he would talk to me about everything the next day. I texted back asking what relationship. He didn't answer. consistent pattern.
Interesting.
Yesterday, he showed up and told me he had done a lot of self-examination and was ready to move forward on his life path. He even wanted to talk about moving in together. He saw my dog and started freaking out. He asked how I could get a dog when I knew how sick he gets. I told him that since he broke up with me, I didn't think it mattered. He said he didn't break up with me. I said he ghosted me. He then said he communicated with me, telling me he was pressing pause and visiting family. I said not answering texts is ghosting. We argued in circles, and then he said he had to leave because he was getting an allergic reaction, even though he was standing in the doorway and not inside. I feel like he broke up with me, and it was okay that I got a dog. He says he never did, and therefore it's a horrible act of disregard to have gotten a dog. Jesus, which one of us is right? My best friend said I should break up with him because he's a jerk. I don't think I should have broken up with someone that already has broken up with me. If I break up with him, I'm basically agreeing with him that we didn't break up. Therefore, am I the goober for getting a dog? Absolutely not. What the hell?
No, you are not the goober. What? Okay, this man is delusional. If you're not texting your significant other while you're away on a trip, what the heck are you supposed to think?
It wasn't a weekend,
what?
too. It was 6 weeks.
That's more than a month.
It's a month and a half.
That's a pretty long, quote-unquote, break. I don't know about y'all, but if somebody is ghosted me for that long, it's over. You didn't text me. You didn't tell me how you are. Yeah, no, you're not allowed. You're not allowed back. You're not. And if you're gonna sit here and tell me that my dog is, oh no, that's just wrong. Absolutely wrong. That man's delusional, not the goober.
No.
What do you mean? That's so stupid.
He's the king of Delululand, and you adopted a senior dog. You didn't take a poo-poo on his balcony and threw it at him, It's not,
yeah.
You did really nothing wrong. And honestly, this feels like a Ross and Rachel situation. Are you on the break or are you not? Are you broken up or are you not? And honestly, 6 weeks with radio silence from someone it's for me, it's a pretty big indicator that they want nothing to do with you and that you should move on. So that's exactly what you did. He is the goober, expecting you to sit patiently and wait for him as if he was the literal king coming back from a trip. So no.
Yeah.
You are not the goober.
You're not. No, you don't have to wait for somebody who's not going to wait for you. What is this?
No. And from there's nothing in the story that indicates that he gave a reason for wanting the pause. And I don't see any indication of what he did during that week besides quote unquote visiting family, whatever that means.
Yeah, and who knows what kind of family he's actually going to see.
Yeah.
Because if he's gone for 6 weeks, do we really think that he was just seeing family?
Yeah, sitting down in the living room just discussing the news and weather with his old mom and dad? Yeah, I don't think so. Sounds like he followed someone.
Yeah. Her friend is absolutely correct. I would just double down and break up with him and get it over with. Who cares if he's right? But for real, you need to get this man out of your life. There is no need for a man like that to walk into your life and treat you like such dookie pants. It is appalling. Oh my goodness. I've never heard of something so bizarre.
Yeah, the dating world is it's horrible. I'm glad to be out of it from the stories I've heard. And to, I guess, address whether or not you should break up with him, I say not so much break up with him, but just send him a text saying something around the lines of, I was under the impression, considering our lack of communication for 6 weeks, that we had broken up. So we are no longer together because of that action you took. Have a good life. I'm keeping my dog, and then send a picture of you and your dog hugging and block him. That's what I would do.
Absolutely. That's some Chad moves right there. Absolutely.
That's what I would do. So thank you. This is the second episode of our podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and come back next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.